the day by any means. Right after this, we are moving straight in to Platinum Heroes 2, the next tournament that should be live in an hour and 15 minutes. We'll see if we can get it started a little sooner than that. No promises. All right, guys, let's take a look here. In the bottom right-hand corner of Kairos Junction LE, in the yellow, playing Terran, it is Shlawzen. What a name. And his opponent in the top left in the purple, playing Protoss, it is NULL. All right, so PVT. It's our second PVT of the day. Just finished up with Blink and Dassam Ultor in a PVT. NULL versus Shlawzen, the other PVT in the round of 8. A reminder, guys, this is where we end the Diamond Heroes tournament for the day. Tomorrow, at the same time, 11 o'clock a.m. UTC, or GMT, I forget, one of the two. Whatever, it's like 8 o'clock p.m. Korea time for me. This tournament starts again tomorrow. We're going to be broadcasting the round of 4, the grand finals, and the third place match all tomorrow. So be sure to join us again. Round of 4 is going to be best of 3s. Third place match and finals are best of 5. The third place match can go either way depending on how much time we've got, etc., etc. But this, again, this does not mean this is the end of the broadcast today. We do have the Platinum Heroes tournament coming up right after this. These players are all Diamond level, Diamond 2 or 3. And the Platinum Heroes tournament is up right after this. So stick around. Looks like a pretty standard opening here from Shlawzen after all those crazy triple barracks openings. We're finally going to see a little bit more standard play, I think. All right, let's watch this. See if this Reaper can get anything done. The first Adept has just finished here, so the Reaper probably going to get a scout out. But look at this, NULL already moving into position. Is going to get on top of this Reaper, and Shlawzen actually losing a little bit of control here. Shlawzen, oh no! Shlawzen, get out of there! All right, so Shlawzen is going to save his Reaper. A nice pick there by NULL, who had that Adept in good position, ready to drive away that Reaper. So Shlawzen actually not going to get a good view on any of this. Take a look at Shlawzen's vision here. He did see the natural, but not a whole lot else. So didn't see how many gases were taken, and didn't see that natural had finished up. Reaper just hanging out here at the third base, so it's going to be just fine. All right, yeah, pretty standard 1-1-1 here for Shlawzen. Does have that command center morphing into an orbital command pretty quickly. Should be finished up soon, able to drop some more mules. Pumping out some siege tanks. Let's see what he adds on to the starport. My guess is a reactor to get some more medevacs out. Maybe do a 2 medevac drop. Although usually you need a little bit more bio than that. Keep an eye on this probe from NULL hidden at the 4th base here. Even if I miss it, watch it for a little bit later in the game. We'll see. Maybe he wants to get a forward pylon or something down there. Not exactly sure what. All right. Stalker. Adept moving forward. Siege tank here, of course, is going to get spotted out, and NULL is going to have to say, ain't no way I'm walking into that meat grinder. But back home, his Robo has finished up, his Blink is about a third of the way done, and his first Observer is on its way out, so he is doing great work. Building up a pretty standard build here. Exactly what you would expect to see off of 2 bases from a Protoss player. Now, Shlawzen has not started his 3rd base either yet. And just getting some Liberators out here. So he's going to add on Liberators to this Siege Tank Marine army so far. No upgrades really for either player just yet. Obviously, Warp Gate for a Protoss player. No +1, no stim, no combat shields, no nothing here for Shlawzen, who is going off a pretty bare bones 1-1-1 build. Spending all of his money on these high-tech units like tanks. Now, luckily, look at that. NULL is going to see this entire force moving across the map here, both with the Observer and with these Stalkers. The Stalker's going to get taken out by one of the tanks. The Viking is going to be really useful here for Shlawzen to support, to fight against and spot, more importantly, for these tanks. So it looks like Shlawzen wants to set up an attack here And actually, he could be in pretty good shape here. Tank gonna set up on the high ground. The Viking, oh man, the Viking barely alive. I'd love to see a Mule land to repair that. The Viking gonna be essential for spotting here as Shlawzen begins to leapfrog these tanks one over another to really create a contain here for NULL. NULL is trapped now in his natural expansion, and Shlawzen with that Liberator as well. This is beautiful. Look at this. The Liberator sieging up this natural position. Gonna try and draw all these units back. There's only one shield battery, but it's already out of shields. The Siege Tank shelling away at it, and here we go. Blink Stalkers getting underneath the Liberators into Siege Tank range here. The Siege Tanks firing on top of each other. One Siege Tank is still alive, but there is so little else. The Viking has been taken down, but the Siege Tank and Bioforces remain. Now, there's no medevac here to help heal up some of these Marines. The Marines going to drop down that shield battery, and this is really, really good progress here from Shlawzen. NULL with only 10 army supply. Shlawzen needs to draw these back into Siege Tank range, though. These Stalkers not eating. Okay, there we go. A big Siege Tank shot getting added on there. Third base for NULL is established, but unfortunately, there's nothing mining there because he has that wedge driven in between his natural and his third with these bio units and the tank here from Shlawzen. So Shlawzen, again, going out. He's really being aggressive with these bio units. He might be overstaying his welcome just a little bit here. The Blink Stalker getting on top of that tank here is going to get picked off by the bio units, but here we go. The Stalkers all moving forward here. Get blunked. Gonna get down, taking that tank down, but there's still bio and a Liberator here. Shlawzen continuing to press forward here. This is a lot of Stalkers that have gone so far. This is a very aggressive Liberator setup as well. The Liberator has set up the second Stalker. Third Stalker is gonna go down. There's nothing here to defend. A warping of Zealots and the Stalkers in the back, pardon me, from NULL, but the mineral line is gonna get driven away here in the natural from NULL. The Marines still shelling away at the natural expansion. Stalkers blinking forward to try and get on top of this bio units here. The Liberator needs to move forward, make itself useful. It's just blinking off. It's blocking off the ramp right now. And this Immortal, well, it is keeping the Immortal from getting anywhere, so that's actually all right. Reinforcements coming in from Shlawzen, but it's just not quite enough to really create the wave that he wants here. Liberator resieging. This is going to allow the Immortal to come down and really start shelling away onto the bio units here. The Liberator again resieging, taking this position in the natural here. This is very far forward, though. The Stalker is able to attack it. The Liberator is going to go down, and now Shlawzen has no beef left in his army. One more Liberator arrives, but it's too late. The Blink Stalkers are on top of it here. A lot of Blink Stalkers and the Immortal are going to be able to push this attack from Shlawzen back. Now back home, Shlawzen added on 3 tanks, but none of them joined the fight here. There's still only 1 barracks up. Shlawzen needs to add a little bit more here into his army to make this happen. Oh, man. Hey, Chicken Man with a rating party of 35. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are really enjoying. We're on a 1-minute delay here, so I think you'll see this maybe a little bit later, but that's very kind of you, man. I hope you guys are enjoying the Diamond 3 tournament that we're showing right now. All right, so finally, Shlawzen has decided that upgrades are probably a good idea and has dropped 2 engineering bays in the back. Stalkers from NULL moving across the map here. Now, these tanks are unsieged, and the Liberator's unsieged as well, but there's so much beef here from Shlawzen. He's got so much DPS. This is just going to get absolutely destroyed if NULL tries to move forward. Yeah, NULL, get out of there. What are you doing? Don't fight into that. NULL blinks away, takes a little bit of damage that he doesn't need to take, and gets away. Look at that. Both players decide to get, hey, upgrades. That's a thing that players do, right? Upgrades are a thing, I think. SCV's taking their union-mandated smoke break there. And the armory coming down for that +2, and possibly to add some stuff on. Finally, more barracks going down in the main base here of Shlawzen. And whoa, when I say more barracks, I am not joking around. Make it 3. Make it, wow, and 3 command centers on the build as well. This is incredible. Barracks and barracks everywhere, and not a drop to drink. Now, the Observer here is giving high ground vision. There's going to be a blink in here from NULL, who's going to be able to start picking away at some of these reactors here. A quick move from Shlawzen pulls these units back, but he's got a lot of siege tanks. The siege tank setting up on the low ground here, but it looks like NULL has free run of the main base. Okay, he's just going to get out. This is very smart. NULL not overstaying his welcome here, picking off 1 reactor, not getting quite the damage that he wanted to do, but might be able to get this last reactor. Save it. Oh, the Mule to save the reactor. Shlawzen, you absolute maniac. I love it to death. Look at that. Gonna save that burning down reactor. What a hero. All right, 3rd base established for NULL here. Now, this base for NULL has been down for a long time, longer than Shlawzen's base. Look at the income tab for these players. We can see NULL way ahead. Now that 3rd base has finally been established, you can see where the aggression happened early in the game when Shlawzen was taking advantage, but now NULL back in it. However, with 3 command centers on the way, Shlawzen looks like he really wants to aggressively expand. Again, these Stalkers from NULL pushing forward are keeping good tabs on the army from Shlawzen. Fourth base established down for NULL. Another command center being built? What? Oh, it was stopped being built earlier. That's why. Okay. So another command center finally getting finished up here for Shlawzen. And Shlawzen going to aggressively, I'm going to guess, double or triple expand. Maybe crank out SCVs like there's no tomorrow. He's so far behind on workers just because NULL was able to establish that third base. But Shlawzen is going to push out again and see if he can get some more damage done this second time. This is beautiful. Look at this. Stalkers cutting off reinforcements here from Shlawzen. He's got them rallied across the map, so he's going to lose so many units here. This is really nice worker placement here, and a little bit of a misstep there from Shlawzen, but it doesn't matter. Oh, goodness, pardon me. Shlawzen gonna attack here. Zealots getting on top of these tanks that haven't sieged up yet. Blunked on top of the tanks there. Oh, the Liberator goes down as well. Immortals tearing this army apart, and Shlawzen getting absolutely eviscerated here as NULL is able to reestablish this position very well after a great defense. Is going to even continue to push forward with this Gateway army, supported by a couple of Immortals here. Templar now on the way, and a War Prism as well to try and reinforce from a forward position. There are no tanks back home for Shlawzen. There's one in the natural mineral line and one up here on the high ground, but there is so much army here from NULL. NULL going to be able to push forward up into the natural here and separate out the natural and the third base. Now, it looks like this tank in the main is not sieged up yet, so this is not great. Some beautiful force fields trapping all those units. Shlawzen trying to get away, but not picking up into the medevacs. This is a slaughter. Oh, this is a triumph for NULL as he pushes forward, hemmed in by his own force fields. They're finally going to move forward. Oh my god, this is beautiful. Look at this, blinking right on top of the tank here. The tank on the high ground finally sieging up. Might get a couple shots off before it gets picked off there. The SCV boys have been pulled, but Shlawzen is in hot water, and NULL continuing to push things out. There it is. 4, 5, 6 SCVs going down. There's just nothing left here for Shlawzen. Marines and medevacs trying to pick off. There is one siege tank on the high ground doing a little bit of damage here. NULL needs to focus fire down exactly. He needs to focus fire down and make sure that he's getting maximum value from these units. Finding a nice area down in the natural here is going to start picking off SCVs and can put some pressure on this orbital command. Now, the third and fourth command centers have been established here. They're both turning into planetaries here, which means it's going to be very difficult for NULL to dislodge. But can Shlawzen weather the storm for long enough to make those worth their time? I simply don't think so. The natural forced to pick up, and he's forced to get the X out of there. Oh my goodness gracious. And here we go. He's going to run into this fourth base here. Planetary Fortress is finished up, but with this many Zealots and the Immortals attacking as well, mass repair does go down here. Shlawzen trying desperately to save his life, but some nice force fields driving those SCVs away. The Planetary Fortress will fall. It's another good pickup from NULL. NULL adding on +2/+2, meaning he's going to be one upgrade ahead of his opponent. Never mind, +2 just starting here for Shlawzen. So both players staying fairly active with their upgrades, which is really impressive considering that Shlawzen is currently on 15 SCVs. There's a whole lot of army here for Shlawzen. Going to try and make this work, but with about half the army supply of his opponent, this is just not quite enough. Now, there aren't a bunch of force fields here, so Shlawzen is going to be forced to take a really bad position. But NULL not able to drive him exactly where he wants to go. The Zealots, there we go, finally taking down one of the tanks, getting full surface area on those Marines. The Marines trying to kite back into the main base, but unfortunately they are just going to get absolutely destroyed here. The gateway is, the supply depot is down, and boom, here we go. NULL driving into the production lines of Shlawzen. Shlawzen, I think, probably with his hands on his head right now going, oh, what have I done to deserve this? I was so good with my aggression early in the game, and NULL able to pull it out. GG! NULL taking game number 1. All right, guys, we're going to throw 1 minute on the clock here and get back in to game number 2 between NULL and Shlawzen. Stick around, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. All right, gang, welcome back. You have just joined us for game number 2 between Shlawzen And NULL able to defend against some great early pressure there from Shlawzen. Barely stays alive and comes back to win it all. I love a good comeback story like Kim Kardashian. So in the top left-hand corner of Acropolis LE, in the yellow from Clan QT Club, it's Shlawzen. Look at that cutie. That's why he's in Cutie Club. Beautiful. Beautiful player. Ah. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the purple. Playing Protoss, it is NULL. Alright, so last game we saw Shlawzen coming out with some early aggression there. Dropped a siege tank, 2 siege tanks rather, and tried to push into the natural of NULL. It worked so well, but he overstayed his welcome. More and more of our Marines kept getting shaved off. And he was just unable to really sustain the aggression in the way that he was, I think, hoping to sustain. In the end, of course, NULL able to pull it off, able to come back, really macro his heart out there, out-expanding his opponent, really taking a risk, committing to a lot more probes, and able to pull out the win. So I think these players fairly evenly matched, actually. Be good to see what they bring us here in game number 2 as this first barracks finishes up for Shlawzen. Let's see if he gets the Reaper Scout out again. Maybe his Reaper Scout can get some work done this time. As the Natural Nexus is dropped on the low ground for NULL. Now Shlawzen has scouted that out. SCV, of course, in the main is going to see exactly what he's up against. Sees that Cyber Core timing. Knows that he's not up for any Gateway shenanigans. He's not getting max packed. Nothing crazy going on yet this game. Shlawzen, feeling confident, can drop that command center on the low ground as well. So both players, pretty early expands. Not too bad at all. Factory behind this. Only 1 gas taken now for Shlawzen. Second gas just finishing up there for NULL. Not completely saturated yet. I think that's probably a mistake. And Adept's getting chronoed out here. Reaper for Shlawzen staying at home, not getting out to do any scouting. Just as I say it, it pops out to do some scouting, of course. But not right away. Reaper out in the middle of the map here. Should check the tower. Nobody ever checks the tower. Man, it's like an extra click. Send your Reaper here, check that Xel'Naga watchtower. Maybe you'll get lucky and catch somebody who is stupid enough to build a proxy DT shrine. I have seen a proxy DT shrine like right here before, which I think is barely just in tower range. The Reaper is going to go up through the Bistro into the main area here, but with 2 Adepts out, is going to pick off very quickly here. Now, I'm really curious to see if Shlawzen saw the Twilight Council going down for his opponent. Aha, so he didn't. So NULL's tech is still a little bit secret. Good pickup for NULL there with that second Adept out. I'm glad he chronoed it out. It came just at the right time. Stalker behind this as well. Shlawzen, a similar build to last game. We see the 1-1-1. Again, Marines 2 at a time. Siege tanks. And if he gets a Liberator out, it'll be identical to his build from last game. We'll see if he goes for Liberator as soon as he saves up the cash for it. Man, this music is so good. It's so hype all the time. I love it. Adepts for NULL making their way across the map here into the natural of Shlawzen. Now, Shlawzen does have a siege tank set up, so he's going to be able to defend against this, and the Adepts are going to see that siege tank, and yes, stay the heck away. Ooh, they are going to get into the main, though. The ramp, the natural is down there, the supply depot open, and here we go. It's open season on SCVs. The SCVs immediately pulled here for a big surround onto these Adepts. The Adepts are going to pull out 2, maybe 3 SCVs. No, a little bit of miscontrol there from NULL, who could have picked, look at this, 1, 2, 3 SCVs at about half health. Could have easily picked some of these down. Unfortunately, wasn't able to target those down quite as well as he might have liked. So not going to be able to follow up that attack from that Stalker, which looks like it took some shots from the siege tank as well. Oh, man. So Shlawzen with a pretty good defense there. Able to pull those SCVs. A little bit of lost mining time, but not the end of the world for either player. Both players fairly, I was going to say fairly even on workers, but that's not true. NULL about 10 workers ahead, just like last game, as Shlawzen is investing more and more into siege tanks, cutting some worker corners to get this same army composition out that he saw last game. So if we look at the income tab, we should see NULL a little bit ahead, and NULL, in fact, feeling confident again to drop that third base. It's like I've seen this game before. First observer on the way out for NULL. Little probe for NULL, hanging out the fourth base location here for Shlawzen. Not sure what he's willing to do there. Again, maybe a forward pylon, or maybe he just likes hiding those things every now and then. Stalkers moving into the middle of the map here for NULL are going to catch this massive force from Shlawzen, which should absolutely destroy him, but it will give him the exact timing of when this army is going to come at him, and he does know the exact composition as well. Now, siege tanks sieging up here. This time, Shlawzen came out with 3 siege tanks, so he's got a little bit more firepower than last time, and possibly a little bit more sustain. Also very key last time. The Viking from Shlawzen last game got picked off very easily. So, the siege tanks didn't have a Viking to spot for them, so Shlawzen was missing a couple siege tank shots that he should have otherwise gotten. So this time, he's kept that Viking alive. He's got a Liberator already added in, a second Liberator on the way, so he's got a little bit more air bulk here to try and prevent against any of the pickoffs here from NULL. Now, NULL is going to pick off one of those Liberators, so a nice pick there from NULL. Is going to do that at the cost of a couple of Stalkers. Just 2 Stalkers for a Liberator, so not too bad there. Siege tank setup from Shlawzen looks very well spread here. Beginning that leapfrog process, bit by bit, moving those siege tanks on. NULL holding position at the ramp here. Oh, this is interesting. NULL eating a lot of siege tank shots before blinking away there. That was a bit of a mistake there. 2 Immortals are out for NULL. 3rd Immortal on the way out of his main. Adding on 3 gates. He needs to bulk up this gateway army very quickly here, or else these siege tanks could make mincemeat of the Protoss player. Now, the siege tanks can get a really nice space down here in the 3rd base here. There's not a whole lot of room for them. Sorry, that's the wrong direction. But, like, right down here, they can set up and shell up onto the high ground. We see a little bit of that happening already here with this siege tank at the natural. And look at this, Shlawzen feeling confident, moving onto the ramp here. This siege tank is going to be able to separate out the natural from the 3rd expansion. So NULL is going to find himself in a little bit of trouble here, as he now has Stalkers that won't be able to rejoin their buddies. Look at the range on this siege tank all the way around this natural and the 3rd base, completely blocking any transition of units between the 2nd and the 3rd. The Bioforces without combat shields with no stim from Shlawzen, completely unupgraded. He's got the tech labs there. What are you doing, Shlawzen? Get on it, buddy. Even concussive shell. Get some Marauders out. All right, siege tank setting up now. Shlawzen in a really aggressive position. Looks like he wants to do the engagement here. Protoss forces collapsing on either side. NULL has a really good concave. Picks off 1 siege tank. Picks off 2 siege tank. These Immortals raining shots down. Siege tank number 3 goes down, as does the Liberator. The 2nd Liberator as well. Shlawzen getting picked apart here by this slightly smaller force from NULL. The siege tank gets blunked on here. Now, NULL is shedding a lot of gateway units here. Those 2 Immortals are still alive, but there's not a whole lot of bulk behind it. So both those players suffering pretty significant damages, but NULL, it looks like, has drawn the army count roughly even. I think NULL won that engagement. Now, his Immortals are, 1 Immortal is very low. The 2nd Immortal is still just fine, but not a lot of other gateway units. I'd love to see him scrub in some Zealots, add some HP onto some of these units here. He needs a little bit more beef in this army to be able to fight up against whatever Shlawzen's got. Now, Shlawzen's tank, 1 tank is going to go down. We should see an aggressive blink onto the 2nd tank here. Never mind, NULL playing it very safe, going to blink backwards there, not picking off the tank. But look at this, Shlawzen, who once had a proud tank command of 6 tanks, like General Rommel in the desert, is now down to just 1. Like Napoleon in Russia. You poor man. Not that Napoleon had tanks. Can you imagine how quickly France would have taken over the world if Napoleon, one of the most famous artillery commanders in the world, had a tank? We'd all be speaking French right now. We'd be eating cheese and drinking champagne, and there'd be no Koreans to be good at StarCraft because Korea would be owned by France. Luckily, Napoleon, like Shlawzen, did not have enough tanks to make that happen. 2nd and 3rd tanks finally rolling in for Shlawzen here. I wonder if he had those back home and just forgot to rally him across like last game. Shlawzen setting up for a Liberator harass here at the back. There is a Templar Archives about to finish. But, so a couple probes might go down here for Shlawzen, or for NULL, rather. Shlawzen moving in. I'm seeing a little bit of lag here from this game. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure if it's my computer or if it's the game itself. I may have to turn my quality down just a little bit. Oof. Again, Shlawzen establishing himself here between the natural and the 3rd base here. Picking off a couple units here, a couple of Zealot Warpins from NULL. Looks like he wants to disengage, wants to distract the opponent here. Maybe draw some of the siege tank fire, but the siege tank's not distracted there. Firing shots down. 3 siege tanks getting a lot of shots down onto these units. This is a much worse engagement for NULL this time. Shlawzen with a clear upper hand, able to pick down a lot of the Stalkers this time. NULL forced to retreat here, eating so many siege tank shots. The siege tank getting a lot of shots off. NULL using his aggressive blink forward right into the range of both of those siege tanks. Oh no, that was really, really badly micro there. NULL taking a terrible terrible fight there. That could be the death knell for NULL. Shlawzen with 2 siege tanks, 3 siege tanks now, should be able to start moving forward and doing really well. Oh my goodness gracious. Shlawzen moving his tank into position here. Now this is a bit aggressive here. I think that tank's going to go down quite quickly. That was too aggressive from Shlawzen, but he does have these other 2 tanks here. I'd be so cute if he landed a mule and repaired those, wouldn't it? Now, meanwhile, he's keeping his bioforces back home. Needs to get a Viking or a Liberator out to try and spot for these tanks so they can still do the massive damage they can do. Look at the arc of these siege tanks. Again, Shlawzen fighting only within the arc of those siege tanks. Here's a Liberator out. Finally get that Liberator sieged up. That Liberator is way too far forward for Shlawzen. These units can go forward, pick off the Liberator, and blink backward. Okay, Shlawzen moving his 3rd tank into position now. These 3 tanks all helping each other out. Nice focus firing down here from Shlawzen. Gonna start moving into the 3rd base here. Picks off a pylon here. Picks off, gets into the middle line here. Oh, this very low Immortal is gonna get to be set upon by the Bioforces. The Bioforce is picking off the Immortal, and here we go. Stalkers moving forward into siege tank fire. Aggressive blink onto the siege tank. Liberator does go down. First siege tank does go down. The 2 siege tanks on the low ground there. The absolute heroes here with only 16 kills between them. I know they've done so many more, or so much more damage than their kills might suggest. Other Immortal has popped out now from the top here. 4th Immortal about to pop out for NULL here. He will be on 3 Immortals now after losing his 1st Immortal. Zealot warp in here from NULL. Combat shield finally on the way from Shlawzen. Goodness gracious. Looks like Concussive Shell and Stim have finished before then as well. Here we go. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Pylon is going to go down. Bioforces moving forward here. Immortals from the back. Stalkers from the front. The Bioforces completely surrounded by Zealots. They're going to get completely cleaned up. I don't believe this. Is NULL going to pull this back? Shlawzen taking a bad engagement here. 1 siege tank left on the high ground, like 2 shots. Take it down, and NULL unbelievably has broken Shlawzen after taking a terrible engagement. Shlawzen's tanks get picked apart by the aggressive blink play of NULL, and NULL steams across the map now. Shlawzen retreats immediately back to his natural here. Looks like he's going to try and save this 3rd base, which hasn't even morphed into... Okay, there it is. Finally starting to morph into the orbital command there, but it's too late. The Protoss forces knocking on heaven's door here. Oh my gosh, the 4th base even expanding here for NULL. NULL moving up 1 siege tank on the high ground here. He needs to pick off this siege tank. He needs to get those Stalkers to be forward. There we go. Immortal Shot's going to take down the siege tank. There are some Bioforces here that did pick off one of the sentries. The Guardian Shield has gone down, and NULL gonna retreat for now. Oh no, what are you doing, man? Warping in some Templars here. And after that incredible last fight, NULL has been unbelievably able to turn this ship around. More Marines, more tanks. Nothing out of the starport just yet. We haven't seen have you seen a single medevac this game yet? I don't think we've seen a single medevac this game yet. Oh, man, those poor stimmed Marines are like, come on, man. I'm a junkie now, and you don't even give me a sexy medevac driver to repair, to heal me up. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. NULL gonna come back home and start working on these upgrades, macroing out to a 4th base, adding on this Storm, adding on +2, +2, 1-1, just getting started for Shlawzen, so Shlawzen a little bit behind here. This is a real shame. Storm finally coming out here. It is getting chronoed from NULL, who isn't able to mine from his main base because this Liberator is still here. I think both players have forgotten that there's a Liberator in his main base. No, he hasn't. There we go. NULL's gonna come take care of it. Here we go. Get it. Get it! That Liberator was 6 kills, but lasted forever there. Man, goodness gracious. All right, so 3rd Orbital Command is up. Shlawzen going to see a little bit of a spike in his income here, but it's not really going to be sustainable in any way. 57 probes to only 49 SCVs. The Protoss player, again, macroing very well here. Warp Prism on the way for NULL. Going to be able to support from the front here, warp in without having to run these units all the way across Acropolis here. The 4th base is up for NULL, adding on a couple photon cannons to delay any pushes into this very dangerous 4th base. The 4th base on Acropolis, by the way, if we zoom all the way, you can see why it's so dangerous. The high ground from the 3rd base, the high ground from that middle base, the low ground. There's so many ways to get into it. There's all this dead space that Liberators can park on top of. It's just a really dangerous spot to find yourself in. So this 4th base, a couple photon cannons, a really good choice there in the 4th base. NULL setting up for an attack here on the 3rd base, it looks like. Okay, 2 siege tanks sieged up, ready to protect here. The siege tank with pretty good range so far. Able to protect everything, but not quite able to protect against this exact area here. So the siege tank not quite as far forward as it needs to be, and NULL setting up for this huge attack. Shlawzen has absolutely no idea where his opponent is. Oh man, this could be bad. Oh, this is really cute. I think he's going to go for a little Zealot run by, or possibly move the Warp Prism into the main base Try and distract the opponent. Here we go. The assault begins. The third base under siege. Zealots getting on top of the siege tanks here. The bio needs to stim. There are finally medevacs out here, but huge storms going down on the bio. NULL absolutely blanketing the battlefield here, and Shlawzen getting picked apart here. Stuck behind his own depots, actually. They may be protecting him just a little bit here. Another big storm onto the bio. The bio getting out of the storms. There are so many storms here from NULL. The bio with nowhere left to run to. The siege tank explodes from the residual storm, and this is it. NULL collapsing in on the natural. The third base completely decimated. Immortals in the back shelling away. Zealots and stalkers in the front. Pardon me. Oh, got the hiccups now. I'm so excited. One more siege tank coming out for Shlawzen, immediately destroyed by the Immortals. The natural under fire. The main is certainly next on the checklist, and Shlawzen looked like he's going to go down and out 0-2 this series. So many Zealots, so many Immortals, so many Stalkers. There's a little bit of bio back home, but it's just not going to be enough. Now, there's no high ground vision here for NULL unless he gets something out there, but it doesn't matter. There it is. Shlawzen GG's out, and NULL takes game number 2 and the series 2-0.